Hello and welcome to the Car Care Nut Shop, and welcome to another shop update. We're going to show you what's going on in the shop, what kind of cars we got, what kind of projects are going on. Since you always see cars in the background, if you're wondering what they're doing, what's going on, and I hope you find some value in this video. This is a 1994 80 Series Land Cruiser. It's a dear friend of mine, really good customer of ours as well. We've done a video on his previous Land Cruiser, which was such a nice Land Cruiser. Unfortunately, got an accident. This one is in here. This is kind of staging the repairs step by step, so it wouldn't be one big bill. This one is here this time. Previously, we've done, I think, a radiator blew on it. It was leaking really bad. Now we're going through kind of the rest of the hoses, the coolant hoses. The valve was leaking a little bit, the heater valve. And a few odds and ends here, PCV hoses, whatnot. Next thing due on this car is going to be the front hub rebuild, which is fortunately the common thing with these as they get older. Before we move on to the cars, I want to show you something that you guys have not seen in a long time. This, if you remember the white Supra that was in the background of almost every single video before we got this place. This is the motor for that Supra. It's all done. We're actually staging here, I think, 2 more cars, and this one comes back out of storage, and we start its final assembly. Can't wait. That car's been here way too long. If you're the owner, apologies, but we talked about this. Over here, I call this the JDM corner. This is a Toyota Century. It's a 99. Beautiful car, has very low miles. Needs a lot of work, though. It's kind of surprising to me. Alternator's dead. Lots of oil because the valve cover is leaking. This is very common on the V12. Valve cover is leaking right on the alternator. Alternator's gone. We need some suspension stuff. Needs a lot of work, actually. This is going to be our local resident here for a while because parts are coming out of Japan. Radiator is also leaking. Radiator and alternator are taking forever. They told me, I think, a few weeks ago, 1 more month until we get the parts. And obviously, we're not going to start on the job until we get all the parts for it. So this one's going to be here, which is not a bad thing. I love looking at these. This is Car Care Nut. I apologize one day I show up in one because I really love these. This is not an IS300. It's actually a Toyota Alteza with the Beams 3S GE. This one is actually turbocharged as well. It's a modification. Normally these are not. Basically an IS300 that's very cool. It does have the 3S GE engine, which is a very high sought after engine. Right-hand drive and whatnot. Beautiful car. We may end up filming something with this car. You'll see it in the future. This is a 24 or a 25 Sequoia. I'm not sure. I think it's a 24. Jose says 24. This is just here. It's a press car from Toyota. We're checking it out. You'll see a review on this maybe before or after this video. It just depends. This beauty over here, you've already seen it. This is actually done, completed. Customer's picking it up here in the next few days. Beautiful truck. The only problem is every time you start it, your eyes start to water. I mean, it smells like raw fuel. So we're going to have to start working or planning on what we're going to do with the engine and the carbs. But all the hubs are done. We actually ended up, so in case you haven't watched that video, we rebuilt the front hub complete with burr fields and everything. The rear, we were just doing brakes. Actually, after I pulled the brakes, we found a small axle seal leak. So we ended up doing rear axle seals as well. Kind of went through the whole thing. Everything turned out great. Brakes are good. We don't have clicking on turns anymore because of the burr fields. Actually, the burr field in the driver's side was really bad. You could physically see it has wear and damage. Seals were questionable. Folks, when it comes to these Land Cruisers with this style of hub, don't use aftermarket seals. So I'll tell you, because none of them work well. And if you own one of these, if in case they discontinue the seals, buy new seals and have them for a rainy day. Same thing with 80 series. Let's go to the main shop, which is extremely packed today. Since we can barely pass here, let's start from here. This GX, this is, I believe, an 0405, don't quote me on the year here. This was here, I want to say a month ago, for exhaust manifolds. They're really badly leaking and they had cracks all over the place. We did the exhaust manifolds, and while we had it here, we did an inspection. I think it needed rear brakes, and I know thermostat housing is leaking. So it's back in. Just dropped it off today. Actually, this appointment is for tomorrow to do the thermostat housing leak, do rear brakes, and they're actually taking it for a long trip. So we're gonna give it one more once over before she's ready for a long trip. This Tundra right here, I believe 07 Tundra, You've seen this in a video before. I'll leave that video here. This is the one we did a wire harness on, and it had kind of a strange problem with the starter engaging on its own and whatnot, all kinds of electrical gremlin. She's been good. This is the second time it's back after that repair. First, all of a sudden, the valley plate decided to spring a very large leak and kind of hemorrhage all over the place. We got that done. Now it's back with a very mysterious problem, which actually we're kind of at a dead stop with it. If you drive it for an hour, according to the owner, if you drive it for an hour, shut it off, 15 minutes later you go and it won't start. You got to wait for it to completely cool down before it starts. We're thinking it's a starter, but I haven't been able to duplicate it. Customer's actually coming in tomorrow, taking a day off work, because we've drove it. We duplicated exactly what he's doing. Nothing is happening. He's going to come in, take a day off work, go drive it around, bring it here, wait for 15 minutes. We keep going and going and going until it happens. We're able to diagnose it. It's very simple to verify if it's a starter or something else, but if I can't get it to happen, I can't get it to happen. And that's a problem we always see. And remember when you go to the dentist, everything stops hurting all of a sudden? Let's go around. Tight space. We are full house plus, if you would. This CT200, this is one that we've actually, I call it one of our cars. This is a car we did a full motor on. It's back here for a wheel bearing. I think left rear, don't quote me, one of the rears. We actually got this yesterday. Fortunately, I couldn't get a hold of a customer until today in the morning, okay, I'm losing my time scale. It's too late now, but we're waiting for parts. Tomorrow parts will arrive. We're trying our best to wrap it up this week because he's got another Highlander that needs to come in, so we're going to switch cars. He was supposed an appointment for today, but I told him, hold off, let's finish this so you can switch keys. We work on their Highlander. This beautiful LS400 is a very dear customer of ours. They also own an LS430. The car has 60-something thousand miles. Maybe we'll talk about this one. Actually, if you haven't seen David from Automotive Press, this was one of the cars we were looking at with him. We'll probably end up doing a video. It's such a beautiful, 60,000 miles, beautiful car. This is a project that is in waiting. We have one more car, and then this one comes in right next to it. That's why it's out of the storage. This is the Camry that we built a brand new motor for. You guys have not actually seen the car. It's all done. We're waiting for a couple things to tell you here, but I'll leave that video right here. This is the one that has a brand new engine in it, top to bottom. Pretty cool, right? Pretty nice car. We do have some issues post-engine. CV boots is leaking. We're going to address it. Usually stuff like that, small stuff like that, we take care of. It's not worth it, especially in a build like this. Second thing is it's running lean. And we've been investigating this for a while. Customer's not in a rush. He's like, when I get it back, I want everything to be done, finished, complete, where I don't have issues with it. We chased it down to injectors. So I ordered some injectors. Gonna replace them. I want to keep testing it and drive it some more, make sure it's 110% before this heads back to New York. Actually, this is where this car is from. Let's walk around and see how we make our way through the maze. This is possibly one of my favorite team members at TCCN Automotive. This is Diego, or I like to call him Dieguito. Diego is one of the finest young men that I've worked with. He is such a hard worker. I mean, the dedication of this young man. He started out in the shop as a helper, like literally empty oil drains, pull cars in and out, wipe this, go drive this, nothing mechanical. I told him we will see how things progress. If I see that you're doing well, we may start training you slowly. I'd rather train technicians than hire ones with bad habits. So Diego, in the less than a year, he has come up so much that right now he is staging to become a full-fledged technician because he's such a hard worker, dedicated, clean, detail-oriented. Really have huge respect for this guy. Something that I had to do. I had to do this. So Diego didn't have any tools when he started because he was not starting as a mechanic. Slowly he started buying tools, and this is something that broke my heart at some point. He would have this very bag at the bottom, the Milwaukee bag. He would have all his tools in it, and he would be, any car he's working on, he would take his tools there and work on it. So I'm like, we can't keep doing this. I know he needs to buy a toolbox, but I wanted to incentivize him because he's such a nice guy. So I ended up actually gifting him this cart. Told him it's yours to keep no matter what happens. But this is the story of Diego. Very fine gentleman, guys. He's a very hard worker. Everybody here is, but Diego is a standout. This, we're going to get into some sappy moments right here. This is the 13 Land Cruiser that we looked at a while back, which I warned you about the V8s that they're becoming an issue, which we're having more and more and more. We finally got all the parts we need and finally came back on the queue. And the owner of the car actually pulled the plates off of it. He says, I'm done with this car. I'm not keeping it. So take your time, basically. So what we were waiting for on this is head bolts. Some of them were stretched, so we're basically assembling it and hoping for the best. That's all you can do. But it's almost done. This is probably going to be running tomorrow, I hope. And we'll give it back to him. I don't think he's keeping it because the car doesn't have plates anymore. I don't blame him. I mean, he's kind of burned out from this car at this point. Moving past that to the Sienna. This Sienna, we were looking at it today a little bit toward the end of the day. Drop off for overheating. I mean, the coolant hose literally ruptured in half. An original coolant hose. I have a feeling we're going to need a head gasket on this one because it is not bleeding right, but we've had no coolant. It got towed to here. We replaced the hose. We tried to bleed it. It has a lot of bubbling. So I was like, at the end of the day, we're not going to rush to something like this. I'm going to do a block test on this. Let's see what's going on. I think it's already too late for this car. I think this engine has a blown head gasket. Car is in medium shape. I think it's going to need a lot of work. I haven't even dug into it too much because I just wanted to focus on the main issue before anything. Moving to this side, this is an RX 450H. Unfortunately, this is, welcome to Chicago, I guess. Stolen catalytic converter, which we're going to talk, I don't know if at this point we may have talked about it in another video. Insurance companies. God help us all from insurance companies. The catalytic converter on this car is, are you ready for it? $6,000. Just the part is $5,700. Just the catalytic converter. Wonder why they're stealing them now, huh? Yeah, so they finally approved the claim. We ordered the parts. We're actually hoping to get this done tomorrow and get the car back to the owner, who happens to be a older lady, and I don't want to keep the car too long from her, but we're waiting for their insurance. Insurance companies are tough to deal with. This beautiful RCF is here for, I'll let you think about it for a second. Guess. Valley plate leak. And of course the heat exchanger itself went on a little bit of a hiatus of a back order. So we had to push this appointment a few weeks, but finally it's here. Customer dropped it off. They're not in a super hurry. Kind of, I think, gave us a two-week window. They're going somewhere and then coming back. So this is actually second or third on the roster for little stuff. So this is going in the shop very soon. I think this is on my roster. We'll see how this ends up. This 2012 Toyota Camry, it burns a little bit of oil. So we gave the option to the customer. It needs a torque converter. So I gave him the option. Do you want us to build a motor for you and the torque converter, or you just want to do the torque converter? They thought about it for a few days from out of town, and we're doing just the torque converter on it. This is actually going after the Land Cruiser is done. We should be starting on this sometime tomorrow. Before the 22 Corolla, the ES350, super clean car. And usually we don't keep cars here for extended periods for maintenance. We just schedule them because maintenance, transmission fluid, I think, coolant. Maintenance stuff is not, it can wait a few weeks. And this is what I gave the customer of that car. Came in for inspection and he just bought it. Beautiful car, needs nothing, just maintenance. Told him, how about we schedule it in a few weeks? That way the car is not sitting here and we can't just get to it right away. We have all this work. Schedule it in a few weeks, get the car in, same day, get you done, send you on your way, and we are all set. He says, I live far away, I have multiple cars. I don't mind if the car stays for a few weeks even. So in that case, keeping the car, actually, I think in the next couple days, or today is Wednesday, in case you are wondering, in the next couple days or early next week, we'll have a window where we can get this done and get it taken care of and ready to go. The 22 Corolla behind that is a very strange thing. We haven't dug into it. It has fuel delusion issues, and it's actually fouling plugs every 20,000 miles. Customer took it to dealership multiple times. They have no idea what's going on, and basically send them off every time. Don't know, it's fine. But they were supposed to bring me another car, and last minute they changed the appointment, so we haven't dug into that one. I told them immediately, things like that, drop it off, forget my number. I'll call you when I found something, because this is not a simple problem you just kind of diagnose within an hour or two. You really got to dig in, drive the car, boroscope, look into things, and spend serious time with it. This is not a simple problem. So they dropped it off. I'm glad they understood that concept, that we can't just diagnose a problem like that just in 15, 20 minutes. No, that's going to take a long time. Let's go around, and this is a beautiful LS430. We always have any variety of Lexus LSs in the shop. This is a car that the customer just bought, has 88,000 miles, needs front suspension stuff, needs timing belt, little stuff here and there. But the one thing that I was concerned about, has an oil leak from the oil pump. This is not a common oil leak on the LS430s. Initially we thought, like, when we pull the timing belt, I'll replace the crank seal and we'll take a look around there. Fortunately, it is the oil pump, which you have to remove the lower oil pan, and it becomes kind of a giant project. Customer's going to hold off on it. This is kind of his weekend warrior car. We're almost done with it. Actually, tomorrow this one is just going for alignment, test drive. Then I test drive it one last time, and then it's done. This SC430 is a very dear customer of ours. Ironically, if you are the owner of this car, they actually own the exact same color LS430 like this one, which we've worked on it. It's one of the cars we worked on. Beautiful car. It had 53,000 miles. I remember that was such a beautiful car. This is their latest acquisitions, SC430. You guys have seen this in the SC video. We are staging for this car. This car, actually, I have to start the project because we're replacing the wood, and we are sending the speakers back to the owner, taking them out of the car, send them to the owner so they can refoam them, and then bring them back to us to install it. So we're gonna do that first. This is actually third on the roster. We call it the LS SC roster. So we have another white. There's a whole other side of the shop that has a lot of more cars. We have two LSs, two LS400s that are coming in after this one. And then we have one more LS430 with little stuff, and then this one. So this one is technically fourth on the LS SC roster. Very difficult to manage the kind of the queues of the shop. And one day, well, I'm planning on this video. I'm slowly working on it. I'll tell you the kind of the inner workings of this shop, because it gets a bit much sometimes. This is a beautiful, I believe it's an 03 LX470 with a head gasket job. So beautiful engine. Look how clean that thing is. Beautiful. Very nice car. If memory serves right, it was actually this side. So this had not a leaking head gasket as in like mixing oil and coolant or leaking in the cylinder. It's had an external gasket leak, which is very surprising because this car is from Texas. Spent all its life in Texas, has zero rust. Owner debated on this one. He's like, we're either going to sell it or we're going to fix everything and keep it literally forever. Needs a bunch of other stuff. CV boots are leaking, small little odds and ends here or there, but this is the main thing. They initially wanted to do a timing belt that was due, so we're doing a head gasket. It's actually almost done as well. I think tomorrow into the day after should be wrapping up, be done. This car has been here for a bit as they decided what to do with it. And then in the last two cars, this 4Runner is very interesting. I have to say that. Beautiful 4Runner, V8. I want to say it, but in case the owner is watching and we haven't gotten to that point, I think it has a blown engine. There's no other way to say it. I know we are entering the forbidden area, but this is a 2UZ that is blown up. We got serious problems. I don't know what's the history of this car. We haven't really completely dug into it. This is actually on my roster for the next 2 days. Before the end of this week, we got to give him an answer on it. Drop off long, it's from out of town. Tundra here, of course, is not driven here. And we'll see. Maybe we'll make a video about it for you guys to know what we found with it and how you can prevent it, because otherwise it's a beautiful 4Runner. This is the LS470 that the son is gifting to the father. The reason it's covered, this is an unknown car. When we put car up in the air, we haven't fully inspected this car. We're not sure if it's going to have any oil leaks, so we usually cover the car that sits underneath it in case there are any drips overnight. Even one drip is one too many, so we usually cover the cars that sit underneath it. But this LS430 is almost complete. Couple hiatus things. I think I only have to do the rear door locks. Everything else is done. But then she decided to develop a squeak, which turned out to be the upper control arm that we just replaced. The ball joint is making noise. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there either, but we're going to replace it again under warranty and see what happens. I'll be very curious. I almost want to sacrifice that warranty cost just to investigate, open the ball joint and see why did it squeak, because this is not the first one that does that. So we're kind of wondering about. We've done a lot of these and we've never heard anything about them. They're fine, perfectly fine, and we haven't had issues. But I'm wondering, because this is the second car that does this. That's the shop, folks. We have a lot more cars in the other unit and some outside, but been pretty busy. We're trying to stay ahead of it. We actually had a stop appointment for, usually when we get backed up, really backed up, we stop taking new appointments for 2 weeks so we can catch up and then start opening the appointments again. We're just ending the stop. That's why you've seen majority of the cars shuffled, because we're at the end of the I think next week it ends the 2 weeks, so we're gonna get really busy next week. So we're trying to get some of the big projects moving, and I'll make a video telling you how our internals of the shop, how the shop started and kind of everything, but we'll leave that for another video. Folks, I hope you found this video helpful, informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some of my other videos, and until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.